The world doesn't respect women. The world is not afraid of women. So as a woman in a workplace, first as a CEO, you have to understand that the way respect is earned in men is not the same in women. A typical male is respected just by his gender. But for a female, sometimes is a little more than being earned, where they say respect is earned. For a lady, it's different. It's not just about earning the respect, for your work or for your status or for the position that you are, because the world doesn't respect women. I remember when I was managing my farm and most of my workers were men, and it was so difficult for me to communicate with them because I noticed that they didn't take me seriously, probably because of how I looked and whatever the case might be, whatever that reason was. But everything seemed like a joke. But this is my business. This is my money. This is my sweat being treated as a joke. I had to re-strategize myself. I had to fire the workers and then employ another set. And I had to create consequence because the first time it wasn't working. They would go against the rules and they will come apologizing. And I would see the attitude. I knew they weren't sorry. So they were playing a game. And I created consequences, and I saw that they responded to consequences and they respected the consequences more than they respected me. There's no offense to that for me because at the end of the month, I just wanted to see my return on investment. I don't care however you behave, as long as I see my return in investment and as long as the environment there is no violence of any sort, right? I understood that. As a woman moving through life, you have to understand that the world will not show you respect except there are consequences in place. And this is not just for a CEO. It's the same thing in a workplace where you're working with, your colleagues, people of the same level as you are. I remember there was a time I was an intern, right? I was a scientist intern. And there was this scientist, a senior. He was really rude and, he was disrespectful and he always make it look like a joke. And I don't joke with men like that. I don't take most of the words men say as joke, right? But he does it all the time. And there was a time he disrespected me. I was an intern. He's a senior. He disrespected me. I said, okay. I don't know how to teach you a lesson because 1, you're older. 2, you're a senior. So I said, but there will be consequences. Then you will understand that I deserve respect as well. Okay? So we were on call one night, a night call, and we were working together in the laboratory, and I went to bed. I was done with my samples that I was working on, so I went to bed. And he called me to help him analyze a group of samples. And I told him no. And he was surprised because usually I'm not supposed to say no because I'm an intern. So I'm supposed to do whatever they say. And he knew from the way I acted previously, he knew I was offended. So He has been finding a way to talk to me, and he saw that I was, giving him the cold shoulder. So I know he knows. Another senior colleague came in and asked me for help running some samples, just like he did. I accepted, and I did it in front of him. And I made sure he understood. First of all, I've done my duty for the night. Whatever I'm doing for you is a favor. I made him understand that if you disrespect me, if you don't know how to talk, I will not do you any favors. I don't care if you're my senior. I will be disrespectful to you subtly, right? And he saw that. And from that moment, he stopped. He stopped joking with me. He stopped making some statements that were offensive to me. He immediately created a boundary. That was me communicating my boundaries to him, and that was him recognizing and accepting the boundary. Do you understand? So as a woman in this world, you have to remove the religious construct around forgiveness as a woman. If you want to attract respect, especially in workplace, as a CEO, most of the time your male employees or your male colleague will test your boundaries, and then you might resort to this bitter woman, always yelling. You will be labeled, always throwing a tantrum and using curse word, being abusive because you're angry. It's frustrating when people don't take you seriously or people disrespect you because of your gender. And that's the reason why you have to create consequences. People respect consequences more than they respect people, especially women. And for you to do this, you have to have the knowledge of what it means and how to create consequences, when to create consequences. Okay? Consequences are boundaries for respect. So you have to understand that concept. And you have to refrain your mind from the idea that forgiveness is warranted or it's given when someone asks. No, that's not your sibling, that's not your child. You don't need to forgive and let go, especially in workplace and especially as a CEO, because you will not be conferred the respect that is due if you continue like that. And that's why in this series, I am teaching you the reason why as a woman, you have to move through the world with a heightened sense of knowledge. You have to understand the concept in relationships, any type of relationship, so you can work to your maximum point. That's the case of respect in women. That statement that says respect is earned is not the case for women. It's different. Most of the time, respect for women is gotten through consequences. Men and women alike, they bank on your forgiveness. Women they are expected to forgive more than men. So when people cross your boundaries, when people test your boundaries and try to disrespect you as a woman, in the back of their mind, they understand that there is a possibility to get away with it, because as a woman, they can come to you with an apology, and whatever it is that they're supposed to face, that apology will absolve them of it. So as a woman, you have to understand that you need to create consequences at the right time. and the right kind. Understand which offense deserve what consequences and the magnitude of the consequences. Okay, and the extent. As a CEO, when you map out your rules, your ethical conduct, from your end, you have to add in consequences for breaking these conducts and make it known that there is no apology attached. And make the consequences be effective where there is no room for it. Just understand that if you give this amount of work, you get this in return, especially when it's a private firm or business or organization that belongs to you, where you are the sole proprietor. And then when you're dealing with colleagues, it's the same thing, but different type of consequences. In this case, you don't have the authority to enforce work-related consequences, so you have to create your consequences, your boundaries, and you have to clearly communicate them without raising your voice, because that's what's expected. They want you to act out of character. Disrespect always hits women the wrong way. That's why you hear harassment being pushed under the rug in workplace. You hear a lot of things and it's not being reported and nothing is being done. I had a case of verbal harassment with a supervisor at a workplace, right? And he was asking me to come to his apartment to finalize a research paper. And then I refused and I said, finalizing research paper, I don't need to be at your house. And he told me that's the only place to do it. And what did I do? He was walking down, a very private area in the workplace because he refused to access the document. And then when nobody was there, right, I blocked him. And when I blocked him, I gave him a very strict warning to his face with the same height, so I was literally in his face, and I warned him seriously. There was nobody there, so nobody is a witness, right? It's just the both of us. And I pointed at him and I told him, if you do not do this paper, this is what I'm going to do to you. Nobody was there. And the boldness that I had, the audacity that I have, and to make sure that no one was there. So nobody is going to say, oh, you were talking to your supervisor rudely. Nobody was there. So after we left that area into the main laboratory, anytime I walk past him, I would look at him with a kind of eye, so he knows I wasn't playing. And from that moment, he started to respect me, and he never said anything of such again. So he understood the boundary, and he understood that this is who I am. Secretly, I got the respect that I deserved till the end of my internship. So as a woman, you have to understand that there are things you have to put in place to protect yourself and to receive respect. As women, most of the time, respect is not earned except through consequences.